In December 2015, the power went out for 230,000 people in western Ukraine. It was winter. The outage lasted up to 6 hours. Utility workers who tried to restore power found their control systems locked them out. Someone had used software to remotely open every breaker in 3 regional power distribution companies simultaneously, then deleted the system's firmware to slow recovery. 3 weeks later, a second attack hit Kyiv's power infrastructure. This was not a natural disaster or equipment failure. It was a military operation, carried out entirely with code by a Russian intelligence unit called Sandworm. Sandworm is designated as Unit 74,455 within Russia's GRU, the main directorate of the General Staff, Russia's military intelligence agency. They are distinct from APT-28, which is also GRU, but focused on espionage and election interference. Sandworm's mandate is offensive disruption, attacking critical infrastructure, sabotaging industrial systems, and conducting psychological operations through destructive cyber attacks. They have been active since at least 2009, and the U.S. Department of Justice indicted 6 Sandworm officers in 2020. All of them remain in Russia. The 2015 Ukraine power attack used a piece of malware called Black Energy, delivered via spear phishing emails to utility company employees. Black Energy had been present in Ukrainian utility networks for months before the attack, conducting reconnaissance, mapping the industrial control systems, identifying which breakers to open. The actual attack used a second-stage tool called Kill Disk to wipe system firmware and a telephone denial of service attack on utility call centers to prevent customers from reporting outages. It was coordinated across 3 separate utility companies simultaneously. In 2017, Sandworm deployed NotPetya. Distributed initially through an update to IMIDOC, Ukrainian accounting software used by most Ukrainian businesses, NotPetya appeared to be ransomware but was actually a wiper. There was no functional decryption mechanism. The goal was destruction, and the target was Ukraine's economy. But NotPetya spread beyond Ukraine via corporate networks of multinationals operating there. Maersk, the world's largest shipping company, lost virtually its entire IT infrastructure. FedEx lost $400 million. Merck's pharmaceutical manufacturing was disrupted. Global damage exceeded $10 billion. The 2018 Winter Olympics attack was Sandworm at their most audacious. Called Olympic Destroyer, the malware was deployed against the Pyeongchang Games IT infrastructure hours before the opening ceremony. The Olympic website went down. Wi-Fi in the stadium failed. Press credential systems stopped working. The attack was accompanied by a sophisticated false flag operation. The malware was deliberately seeded with code artifacts suggesting it was Chinese, North Korean, and Russian in origin simultaneously to confuse attribution. US and UK intelligence eventually attributed it to Sandworm, but attribution took months. Sandworm also developed Indicted, also called Crash Override, a modular malware framework specifically designed to attack industrial control systems. Unlike Stuxnet, which targeted one specific facility, Indicted is adaptable. It communicates using the actual industrial protocols used by power grid equipment globally. IEC 60875, 101, IEC 60875, 104, IEC 61850, and others. An updated version called Indicted 2 was used in 2022 in an attempt to cut power to 2 million Ukrainians. Ukrainian CERT detected and stopped it hours before deployment, in one of the most significant defensive cybersecurity successes ever recorded. The Sandworm threat is primarily relevant to critical infrastructure operators, utilities, water treatment, transportation, healthcare systems. The playbook is consistent, lengthy reconnaissance via spear phishing, persistence in OT networks for months before activation, and attacks timed for maximum psychological impact. Detection requires comprehensive logging across both IT and OT networks, with security information and event management tools capable of correlating anomalous behavior across both environments. Most OT networks have poor logging and limited visibility. Network segmentation between IT and OT prevented Sandworm from reaching operational systems in some targets. The organizations that successfully stopped iIndustroyer 2 in 2022 had done the work of separating their corporate email and business systems from their industrial control systems, making lateral movement from spear phishing to OT systems much harder. Organizations where an employee opening a phishing email provides a direct path to power grid control systems remain critically vulnerable, and they are distressingly common. The geopolitical dimension of Sandworm operations complicates defense. These are not criminal groups pursuing profit. They are military units pursuing strategic objectives. The calculus of attack is different. Sandworm will accept operational losses, burn sophisticated tools, and take risks that a ransomware group chasing payment would not. This means that standard enterprise security recommendations, which are calibrated against financially motivated attackers, may be insufficient for organizations that are genuine geopolitical targets. Nation-state threat modeling requires different assumptions. $10 billion in global damage. Power cut to 230,000 people in winter. The Olympics disrupted. All of it from code written by military officers in Russia who will never face trial. Sandworm is the clearest evidence that the line between cyber attack and active war is now effectively gone. If you want to understand the other nation-state hacking unit that use some of the same tools, including code from the Shadow Brokers dump, our video on Shadow Brokers, the day America's best cyber weapons were stolen, and leaked covers where those tools came from and what they made possible. Some of Sandworm's most destructive attacks ran on stolen weapons they did not build. If you want the origin of those tools, our video on Shadow Brokers, the day America's best cyber weapons were stolen and leaked, traces exactly where the code came from. It is on this channel.